ecosystem, that is students, industry leader, and government. The topic that we are going to talk today is how apprenticeship and placement through industry collaboration is a need of the hour. So just giving a quick context before we delve into the discussion, that apprenticeship is not just a program. It's a very logical next step in an individual skill journey. It connects classroom learning to on-the-job experience, and it helps youth build real-world experiences. For this pathway to succeed, industry is very critical, not just in offering apprenticeship, but also in mentoring and guiding and ensuring that these individuals become a full-time part of the job ecosystem. Now, today we'll explore that how with stronger industry engagement, especially for MSME, the Jammu and Kashmir system can transform the whole apprenticeship and job model from a short-term training and placement opportunity into a long-term talent pipeline, and that will truly support the sustainable employment of youth in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, if you look at the numbers, in past 7 years, close to 5,600 apprentices have been only offered in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So, we see that industry participation has been slightly laid back in Jammu and Kashmir, and also from the department side, the rigid schemes where MSMEs have limited flexibility to be part of the scheme is also being hurting the local industry. Now, to discuss these topics in detail, we have a group of panelists with us. I'd like to welcome Mr. Ashish Firoza. Welcome you on the panel. So, Mr. Ashish is the Vice President of JK Cement, and he has led operations and talent planning across multiple states in India. Its core strength is the workforce strategy in large manufacturing, with focus on building skills and stable teams. We have Suchita Datta ma'am joining virtually with us. So, Ms. Suchita is Executive Director of Indian Staffing Federation and works very closely with the government. Talking about ISF, ISF represents Indian staffing industry covering over more than 100 members and has connected 1.2 million workers to the job opportunities across sectors. We have Dr. Akash Chauhan with us. Mr. Chauhan is from NSDC and he leads partnership and financing for national scaling efforts across sectors and regions. His expertise lies in building systems that connects MSMEs, training partners and funding models to boost apprenticeship outcomes. We also have Mr. Junaid Lone with us. Mr. Junaid Lone is a senior consultant with MSPE in policy initiatives and coordination team. Mr. Junaid brings extensive experience in skill development, policy formulation and large-scale project management, including flagship initiatives for central and state government. So now that we have already highlighted that how apprenticeship in context of JK is highly necessary and the need of the hour, I would like to direct few questions to individual panelists to understand and delve deep into the panel discussion. So first question for you, Mr. Ashish, that we have seen that cement industry has a huge appetite for apprenticeship because it's a labor-intensive industry, and you have a huge experience in cement industry. So, I would like to understand that how cement industry or any large industry broadly are approaching apprenticeship program today, especially in terms of how these apprentices will turn into future workers and full-time employees of the firm. So, based upon your experience in UP, MP, what are some key learnings that a government or a private player should adopt to make this model more robust and more lucrative for youths particularly?
Thank you so much for the question. First of all, very good evening to all my fellow colleagues and everyone who is here at the conference. Because it's been long day, lots of discussion, new ideas, and obviously lots of insights. So it also takes lots of energy. So being low on energy at the last session, I will say let's remember the French Open final where Alcaraz and Sinner has the last 4 set, and it was but tiebreaker point. So hopefully our session will also be one of the match point, and we look at MSME more into that kind of how this tiebreaker can be turned and shift, especially for JNK and moves across the country as well. So And JK, I'll start with JK Group has been 140-year-old organization and has done a lot in terms of nation building apart from businesses. So education is one of the core apart from business that we do across the country. And vocational education we started way back around 35 years, and we started first Indian Industrial Training Institute, and it is one of the finest in the country that has produced every year students or alumni. Now they are with Bhabha Atomic Research Center, with DRDOs, and also of the leading government research organizations as well as with the private industry. So from there we had built 6 very high performing vocational schools, and as in the last panel we have seen we had discussed about the industry contestants who have been to Worsley. Students from our campuses regularly goes there. So like last year there have been 2 candidates from very humble beginning, they have made that stages. Now this point where we are talking about skills, we are talking about youth, and then we have the MSME. We also pattern few MSME networks, or I would say the MSME associations, largely from the perspective of building an ecosystem so that these organizations can also come up with a new, I would say, the vigor and strength. So we take care of Uttar Pradesh chapters of Productivity Council, Safety Councils, as well as we have employer associations. So from those learnings which we build and put upon, I'll start with from the MSME point. So apart from apprenticeship scheme, there are multiple other schemes which is going on. So one of them is RAM, which is from the MSME department institute. Then we have LEAD MCLS scheme. This is more into micro enterprise competitive lead scheme for quality and performances. So this MSME that is the largest employer in the country for all any segment. Even if you look at the ITA students or short-term stream students, the preferences or psychological preferences of leads is that if I get job in my local region, that is my first preference instead of going out. So there, the largest role that comes up at the MSME. So in training, what we do, we have vocational schools, then we have MSME segment, where we have created an ecosystem so that students who are being trained at these ITIs, they are immediately on-job training is happening with those MSME institutions. So those MSMEs are largely some are exporters and then others are suppliers for the large firms. So these students are getting on-job training and good on-job training for 6-month period, and continuously being there, employed there, they are working, and from there I have seen, like in my last batch, which we take the render review and feedback. The feedback is employers or students both have this, I said, a chemistry or understanding that employer is not leaving them, and employee or the students who is there, they have given better offers in terms of market rate, and they are continuing those jobs. So opportunities are huge. It is all about intent and approach. These 2 things that would be needed to ensure that how the MSME can be taken up for apprenticeship.
Thank you so much for this useful insight. I really feel that MSME being the highest employer can be the next step in terms of how much, not just labor force they will be able to consume, but also how much output or monetary incentive that they will be able to provide the overall youth ecosystem. So that now we are moving forward to the fact that there has been so much happening in the ecosystem, and we have to look things from not just from the employer perspective, but also from the people who are going to work for the ecosystem. So I would like to direct this question towards Ms. Suchita, that based upon your understanding of Indian skilling and staffing ecosystem, how do you view the current policy landscape around apprenticeship and placement, especially from the point of how these youths are looking at the market, that what are the wage expectations, how the job readiness is happening, and what is the conversion and their outlook of conversion to full-time opportunities. Over to you, Ms. Suchita.
Thank you so much for not only the question but bringing me part of this panel. Really delighted to be part of this initiative under Ministry of Skill of Jammu and Kashmir. I think it is a very, very advanced thought process that you have brought in. to solve a problem which definitely needs addressing. Given that, see, ecosystem of staffing industry is across the country, specifically with the large sectors that are hiring in bulk as well as hiring from the ground level staff, which means the youth today are majorly employed through the staffing industry who get employed into the ecosystem. Maybe they have not completed their full education, their 10th pass, 12th pass, they have done some bits in ITI, they have done a lot of programs under various schemes, but are still unemployable. And that fixing of unemployability is something that we are trying to address through apprenticeship model or the on-job training, the OJT model. These are the two very successful models that we are seeing that the staffing industry is able to drive and benefit from. We work across 65 industries, and all the industries who today have a compulsion to hire between 2% to 12% of apprenticeship. One, because it is defined and pushed by the government, I don't think it should be the mandate how it should work. The lower adoption has possibly happened because, as rightly mentioned in the program document also, that it is more of an administrative hassle that it has become rather than a facilitator. So one, industry is coming forward for sure, but at the same time, if the administrative hassles are not reduced or addressed, then the industry definitely withdraws back, because at the end of the day, industry is participative in any program that collaborates rather than initially engages with the industry and then pulls back. So whatever decision or the process that the apprenticeship model has been taken, and specifically when we are talking about the MSME industry, we have to understand while MSMEs are the backbone of our country and the GDP is practically running 60% because of the MSMEs, we have to be very sensitive that apprenticeship for them is a very low-hanging fruit. At the same time, it is very tiring, because for them to invest into bringing certain set of freshers to train them, they don't have usually a training mechanism within their organization. And training and OJT, while it is good to have when it is a larger organization, and I would say larger organization would be at least anybody above 1,000 workers in one location, because that allows the hierarchy of the people from a manager to a junior lead to the people who are joining the ecosystem to have the bandwidth to learn, train, relearn and fill the gaps. However, in an organization or an MSME player where there are less than 20 people in a unit, it becomes very difficult for somebody to take the time out to train that person as an apprenticeship, and then after 6 months to 9 months, lose that person to another company or a competitor as an employee, or possibly moves on for better opportunity. The MSMEs want to hold on to their candidates or the people that they are working with. So for MSMEs, we definitely need to have a different encouraging system, which could be a little bit of a parallel. We definitely saw the Ministry of Rural Development, MORD, come up with a lot of schemes. However, those schemes in terms of retention of the candidates beyond 3 months became very difficult, and I don't think staffing industry benefited a lot from that. So looking at the ecosystem, I would say it should compartmentalize into 3 categories. The SMEs and the MSMEs should be treated a little different. The companies who are in the growth stage should be treated differently, and the apprenticeship engaged with them will possibly have a different number. And then we have the PMIS also, which has come into play, which is currently looking into 500 companies, which definitely needs to be expanded. But all these programs put together, I think there is a great intention. The roadmap to success, I think, is a little far, and the administrative part, if taken care of, could address some of the gaps that we are today facing. And I'm talking on behalf of the employers right now. There is obviously another perspective coming from the employees, which I might come back and share with you in the next set of questions.
Got it. Thank you so much for your insights. So, summing up, that governments would be more manageable in terms of policies, making sure that they are treating different industries at different stages differently, and also ensuring that there is not a lot of paperwork trail or anything that's very difficult for a small company or an MSME to maintain or to even sustain in the long term. Now, moving on from this, now we have seen a perspective of how industry is looking at it, how people from staffing industry are looking at it. Now I would like to direct a question to Dr. Aziz, and as you have been working on NLA scheme for a while, so it's been a decade since the scheme has been launched. What has been some of the key learnings and takeaway from this journey, especially in terms of like engaging with MSMEs, improving policy outcomes and scaling demand-driven models?
It's a question. I'm
Very excited.
So, see, when we talk about apprenticeship is something which is MAPS, which we call now, has come from 2016 onwards. So it is largely something which is a very new thing which has come, and it will actually take time for the industry and also for the candidates to understand what it is. When we look at the apprenticeship promotion scheme, industry has the option from 2.5% to 15% to put people as their apprentices within their organization. Certain states have also given additional inputs, and they are also paying. They have given increased this in up to 25%, like Gujarat, Karnataka, Maharashtra. These are states who are promoting apprenticeship, and they are also paying in addition to this the stipend from the government side. So apprenticeship is something which is really beneficial not only for the industry but also for the students, the young professionals who are coming into the industry and looking for the job opportunities. I'll give you a reason how. It is something that when a candidate goes, industry requires a person. And if an industry is appointing a fresher, they are going to pay that person somewhere around 25,000 and going to train that person at that point of time when the person is on their roles. So see, the difference is going to be something very important. If they take apprentice, they are also complying with the government's norms, the guidelines. Secondly, they will be training that person for a good amount of time, 6 months to 12 months for your optional grades and 2 grades for your designated grades. So that person will be able to get the training under the employee, and that will help the employee also to understand whether this person is fit for the job or not. For that amount of time that the industry is going to pay, the government is also going to cost. And that will also be something which actually has grown widely. Last when we started this scheme in 2016, from that time to now, many companies have come on board. We have grown ourselves because there was no portal, there was nothing at that point of time. Now portal has come up. We have now also brought in certificate of proficiency, which the industry is going to give, which was not there earlier. So this is a scheme which is evolving. Remember that Apprentice Act came into force in 1961. In 1961, and we are right now in 2025. In all these years, we have grown. There has been a resentment within the industry also. Many labor organizations have criticized this. But this is something really good. This is something really good for the candidates. This is something really good for the industry. And it is something which is, right now, I can give you an example. We have industries coming to us where they are saying that they require candidates. And we have to run special campaigns. The only thing which I would request Jammu and Kashmir officials is something that let's have this a drive. We are ready to come out here, go to the ITIs, polytechnics, or degree colleges, and inform candidates, inform students that there are opportunities which they can see. The portal is open. They just have to come there to register, they have to do their EKYC, and they will be able to see the opportunities which are available over there. So I request that we must go out and tell this thing to the candidates, to the students who are out there, that yes, this opportunity is there, they can do these kind of things, and there are certain things which they will be able to benefit out of it.
Got it. Just a small follow-up question to that. That as you mentioned that the journey of a student to go to the portal or someone who's skilled enough to go to the portal and apply is pretty convenient. But just a very small question, that if a student is going to a job market, apart from the hard skills that is required, at times a lot of times soft skills are required, like as simple as CV preparation or interview preparation. And interviews and employers will judge you on the criteria that how good your English is or how good your CV making is in terms of long-term employability. So what is NSPC's plan around incorporating that into the program design so that soft skills are not getting ignored while people are trained on hard skills?
So, for this part, this entire curriculum which has been designed, it's been designed by the Cisco councils. And industry also has a proper input which they give. If industry wants to design a program for themselves, where they would like the apprentices to come and get trained, their option is open for them as well. With regards to the soft skill part, the soft skill is a component which is embedded within the training aspect because there is two parts of training are there. One is the practical training and the other one is the theoretical. So largely, as per the requirement of the industry, all these components are embedded. Because if it's a production line, then the training is going to be different. When it's a service sector, it is going to be different. So as per the demand, as per the requirement of the industry, the curriculum has been designed. And it goes up to 6 months to 12 months for the optional grades.
Definitely got the point. So, just summing up the point Dr. Anderson said, that with technology in place, the ground uptake can really be done very fast, and the job applying and job searching process for the students or for the skilled people is very easy. Now we'll move on to Mr. Jubair for one question, that based upon your extensive experience in policy design and implementation, how do you assess the cost benefit from the employer perspective participating in apprenticeship program, especially in the lines of MSMEs participate that anywhere running on small margins? So what do you think in terms of cost, financial cost, non-financial cost for these MSMEs to adopt these schemes, and also touch around registration, compliance and administrative efforts to be a part of the ecosystem?
Good evening everyone, I'm Zubair. I'm representing the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship here. So regarding this question, I would like to share that if more than 50% of the companies and or establishments participating in apprenticeship engagement are MSMEs. So the data says that the companies, so we have more than 50% of the establishments that are MSMEs. Now coming to your question, Aditya, under NAPS, an incentive is provided, a portion of the stipend is provided under NAPS to the apprentice in the form of DBT variant. So if say for example I'm supposed to, under NAPS it is 25 up to 25%, and under NAPS, National Apprenticeship Training Scheme, it is up to 50%. So if I am hiring an apprentice, I will get the reimbursement. So as a company or an MSME, I only have a fair portion of that. And I would also like to announce here that there has been a revision in the stipend rates. And especially Suchita ma'am, it is now, you may also, since recently the 38th CSC Central Apprenticeship Council has been under, council meeting has been undertaken, and there has been a revision in the stipend rates. So the stipends are increased now, and the share that the MSMEs will receive, that will also be revised. That is one. Number two, from a cost benefit analysis, because it becomes a source of workforce planning for the MSMEs. Even hiring an employee comes with a cost, but if you are taking an apprentice, it becomes a pipeline for you at a lesser cost to get an employee on the long-term basis. I would also like to share that under NAPS, the absorption rate of apprentices after completing apprenticeship training is around 60 to 80%, which means apprentices who are completing the training are getting absorbed in the same company, and the rate is 60 to 80%. Recently, I was in a meeting with Vishal Megawatt. Their absorption rate is 100%. So over the last few years. So they are hiring all the apprentices that they are engaging. And there are several other companies that have showcased an absorption rate of 100%. So in terms of that, I would also like to tell you that there is no paper trail involved. As Akash shared, that it is 100% end-to-end digital platform apprenticeship portal, and there are no paper trails involved. It is solely digital. And recently we have also launched, last week, 23, we launched DBT. And now companies do not have to process their payment claims of stipend, and the stipend is directly paid through the DBT. That has also made it easy for MSMEs to participate.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zubair, for sharing that insight and reiterating the fact that apprenticeship price benefits have been revised and it will definitely benefit the youth in this country. Now, I just wanted to open the floor for one question, and I would like your inputs on all the panelists' input on this. That as you highlighted that this apprentice to full-time employment conversion is around 60 to 80%. I wanted to understand that the dropout rate or the people who are not able to translate from an apprentice to a full-time employee. So how this apprenticeship program is not going to just used as a labor filling gap by some MSMEs, but as a long-term talent pipeline, as you all are envisioning this program to be.
So this point was also highlighted by my friend from JNK earlier, that there are higher rates of dropout once the apprentices join and then they drop out. This we are trying to tackle by introducing induction programs, proper structured induction programs that are periodic. So one experience that we have had is when we apprentices that are engaged as candidates that are engaged as apprentices, they think they have got a job. They are not aware most of the cases that they are in an apprenticeship. So when they get to know that it's an apprenticeship after 1 month or 15 days, 20 days, they drop out. Or they see the previous batch getting relieved once they finish the apprenticeship training. So when they leave, complete their apprenticeship training, they get a realization or they get a reality check that it is not a job, and they drop out midway. So this we are trying at MSD to tackle through introducing periodic induction orientation trainings. Before joining the apprenticeship, they are told what apprenticeship is, what is expected of them, how does it end. There is no obligation on the employer to hire you. So then after 3 months, every 3 months or every 4 months, we are going to have these periodic orientation induction sessions that will avoid this dropout and at least have more completion rates. One more thing is, now recently we have issued a guideline where apprenticeship training will be considered as work apprenticeship, the work experience. So especially for the DT designated trades. So any ITI candidate going for apprenticeship training, it will be considered as a work experience, unlike other forms of work-based learning like internship. It's a gray area whether internship is an experience or not. There are even several cases in the courts of India that whether internship is experience or not. But with this notification, recent notification, apprenticeship training is considered as a work experience and is accepted internationally and is given under the stamp of the Government of India. So that's also a good news which will help us. And especially Akash also mentioned that we have introduced a CO, Certificate of Proficiency, which will be given by, there are 2 levels of completion. So industry will also give a Certificate of Proficiency, and then the apprentice can also go for an exam. Earlier, most of the students won't go for an exam and they would have nothing in hand. Now, with the introduction of the Certificate of Proficiency, we will have more completion rates and less termination. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Agarson would love to hear your thoughts on the same, if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, so see, we at NSPC are also initiating this, we are initiating campaigns across the country where we are reaching out to the state officials, and we have already reached out to UGC, colleges, universities. We AICT colleges, and we are reaching out to them to tell them that their students need to be very aware about the apprenticeship scheme. So we are ready to go down. We are ready to go down to their institutes. We are ready to talk to their students and tell them about what apprenticeship is. Here also I'm reiterating that in Jammu and Kashmir we are ready. We are ready to come down to talk to the students, tell them about what is your apprenticeship, what benefits they will get. Because it is not just as the best it is also going now to categorize their experience, and it's going to be really beneficial. Just imagine someone who has completed his college and is moving out and gets the opportunity. Because there is no paper trail, there is nothing. The person has to go down on the portal, has to just fill his her details and that, and they will be able to see the opportunities. This is something which is enabling them by their on their mobile phones. They can do it. This is something that what we are trying to do, and it is something, where candidates in their college, when they're in their final semester, final year, they will come to know that yes, this is the opportunity, this is what apprenticeship program is all about, and whether they want to go for it or not. And when they will see the opportunity, they can apply for it. That is the best part, because that will empower them, and that will be an informed choice. It will not be something that they are being given something shoved out to their throat. It's not going to be like that. It is something where they are getting a proper choice, where they are informed, they know that this is what I am going into, and that's how the dropout number is going to come down. And when we are talking about MSME, and I would like to highlight one thing that we have been into discussion with multiple industries here, specifically in Jammu and Kashmir. If I talk since 2019, 2018, I have been in discussion with multiple industries that have visited, multiple MSMEs have talked to them. One thing which requires is they need support. They need support in the sense that they are not in a position to pay the stipend. But yes, if the state government brings in something as a policy that where they can support the MSMEs without some 50% or whatever amount of stipend amount they pay. So they will be able to take the local students.
So I'd like to add, going on that, as Akash said, that there are at least 7 to 10 states that are operating top of stipend. So say for example, NSD is providing 25% of the stipend, then the state government is providing additional 10, 5, 15, 25%. Some are matching the MSD contribution. That way, it becomes easier financially for MSME. So I would request the state government to at least consider this, and we can help them from the MSD perspective in formulating such a scheme, and all help would be provided from MSD. And we can also do a consultation with such states that run such a scheme. UP is one of them, Gujarat is one of them, Maharashtra is one of them. So there are several states. Even as a basic first step, if you want to understand how this top-up scheme works, we can have a consultation. We'll organize that for the Department of JNK. So, thank you.
Just wanted to add one thing that when you are answering this question, I would also like you to think, because JKSMS have been training people, employing people for more than 100 years now. I would also like to understand, even in established businesses, when people are dropping out, it will be both employer and employee things not matching up and people dropping out. I would also like to hear your insights on the fact that what have you observed in this long time, that why these people are dropping out, or what is not working out between the employer and the employee.
I start with my colleagues with this year, there is specific inputs already from the government, or as the ecosystem enabler. There are lots of things which are already there in the field. It is that how we are utilizing it. Let's say there are top of this state government, there is a ministry scheme, and the flexibility. I was there in the meeting of CSC in 2018-2020. The flexibility has gone up from 2.5% to 10%. From 2.5 to 10%, and then subsequently 15% nowadays. If we add like research and other optional apprenticeship, then it goes to 15%. So flexibility and opportunities are there. As establishment where we have large number of apprentices, attrition rate is somewhere, I say, less than 2% in our case. And why and how it is happening? One is the counseling that is being done before their joining. So they are aware that just what they are being offered, what is the expectation, and what kind of skills they will be improving in the next 1 year or 2 years of time. So that is one. And this not only happens at the industry side or MSME part, it is also with when they are working or studying in the ITIs or polytechnic colleges. So it starts giving them options like what we did one very specific program. The students with the final year, apart from their regular placements and everything, one training module has been designed where they have given options after passing out, what kind of options you have for your career. One is directly going into the job, taking the route of apprenticeship or higher education. So 3 separate modules where students are being trained or the options have been given with the right information that these are my options. And then once the students are on board with the industry, there is a proper induction program so that they are aware, and subsequently every month there is a supervisor and or managers. They are being they are counseling the students or the trainees, and this happens on the regular part, etc. As a part of operations, and they are also getting the feedback. So when we look at German world system or Scandinavian countries who are very good or very good high craftsmanship in terms of skills, their model somewhere lies and their strength lies only in this, where students is studying or getting training at vocational school back and forth 3 to 5 times for a longer period of time. It happens, and that's how they are then once they come out, they are the finest craftsmen they produce for the country. So similarly, we have these programs aligned, the counseling, then there are the orientation programs, and making sure that these students who have completed apprenticeship, they are also appearing for the National Apprenticeship Exam, which is NEC, which is very critical when they go for higher education. They look for the government jobs or I say industry jobs. It is a very critical document which has not only national importance, internationally it is a recognized document. So for their career taking a shape or wings, it is necessary to get through this apprenticeship model.
Got it. Now, moving on to Mr. Faris, as you have a very deep understanding of the Kashmir as a region, and you have also a strong experience in hospitality sector. So, and as I highlighted earlier that in Jammu and Kashmir we have only seen like 5,000 odd apprentice applications in past 7 years. So how do you think that this current market demand in apprenticeship, especially in sector like tourism and hospitality, is in Kashmir, and what are the regional factors that will save the abilities for not just big enterprises but also small MSMEs to observe and retain skilled youth?
I think I should take this beyond your question. I've been speaking for a long time since the whole day. Kashmir Chamber of Commerce is a 102-year-old organization, second oldest chamber in the country. Today's topic and our discussion was transforming citizen ecosystem in Kashmir, Department of Skill Development, Government in Kashmir. So what we are given in the preamble that this is 4 points. 1, 4 jobs ought to be created in the next 5 years, and 2 lakh crores have been earmarked in the budget. And this conference is regarding to Kashmir. But I'm very lucky and very thankful for having invited me to this panel. And I have heard everyone with attention. I have learned a lot. I have been wise. But my thing is that Jammu Kashmir has been discussed, I think, 1%, 2%. Beyond that, no. Only our secretary, he made a presentation which was related to Jammu Kashmir, and what we are here to solve the problem of unemployment across the country, or most of Jammu and Kashmir, within Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir is having 32.8% unemployment in the age group of 15 to 29. So this is the age group where one could acquire the skills and afford employment. It's not my, this is the Ministry of Statistics, which have issued on 31st of December 2024 and the program. So when we are speaking about the acquiring skills for gaining employment, but in Jammu and Kashmir, more in Kashmir, we have got employment generation avenues within our families, within our cottage industries, in the shawl making industry, in the hospitality sector, where the most known and reputed hospital people in the world, and our tourism has a history of hundreds of years. It's not now. It was there before that Akbar, the Mughal Emperor came here in 1586. Before that also tourists would come here. So you have directed the question to why only 5,800 apprentices. My answer will be that we have lakhs of artisans, weavers, who have gained this experience, these skills from family, from grandfather to father and then previous son, but we have neglected that. Today we are sitting here, we have brought the parent of the country. I am very privileged to be sitting with them and see all those who are there. But what we missed? 40 years ago, I told the secretary sir, I was taught basket weaving in my school in the last 4 or 5 years. And after 40 years, when I see in the presentation, basket weaving, basket making is to be introduced as a skill development. Are we going 40 years backwards? And I think we should look at many of our colleagues who I come from. तो कहा हम भाषण देने वाले थे, भाषण सुनने वाले नहीं हैं, हम देख रहे हैं और पढ़ाते हैं. And I also learn. This cluster, the secretary Sahab in his presentation said, they identified 6 districts for clusters. But in 2004, under Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's time, 20 districts were identified for clusters for different. There was a plan, Samtech report, that was 3,400 page plan, which was ordered by the Government of India and Government of in assistance government Kashmir, because the militancy or terrorism, whatever you say, was at its peak, and unemployment was growing, businesses had become bust, and there was no activity on your horticulture and poison. So that scheme was, that plan was formed. How to create employment generation through revival of handicrafts, revival of tourism, and other sectors through skill development. So this skill development, Vajpayee's time is 2004, and under that, what was recommended? What was recommended? District Boundary Board was identified as a carpet cluster because 80% of our carpet weavers belong to that. Srinagar was identified as a cluster for paper mache and wood carving. Anantnag was identified as a cluster for chain stitch and gaba weaving and ari work. Similarly, Gandhar, Banda and other districts were identified. But today, after 20 years, 22 years, we want to identify clusters already there. So what we are suffering from? We are suffering from lack of attention. We are suffering from lack of land, and we are suffering from lack of policies of Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government. He did a plan that these should be implemented. And 20 years down, 21 years down the line, these clusters are still not there. There are a lot of attempts. Government has been trying and not trying to develop those clusters, but still not. What is the use of cluster? Cluster is a carpet weaver has to come to Srinagar to buy their yarn. Then he has to run to a dyer who is in Srinagar to dye his yarn. Then he has to go to a woman who weaves that yarn. Then he has to go and so in that cluster, it was based the benefit was that 80% of the weavers who belong to the in and around Karyan, Bureau and all that, they would be having a cluster of the facility there. And secondly, the weavers required design, at one time, are gone down. That I'm quoting very handicraft figures with me. And out of those 57,000 also, I think they are not 11,000 are activity workers. Those are more, they are either running a retail or other things. This was from their grandfather. So the skill development was in his home. So we have deprived him of the skill development. Because had we created those clusters there, the garment industry and so on, they would have developed in their own district, in their own area. So when we are today, please, keep it off. I don't want any issue. I you just now said that it is 100% apprentice. What is that? You said 50% is MS, I mean, or 50% established. We have 5 lakh established, why not 2 lakh 50? They are Pujas. They are not, and now government, wherever you go and you miss.
I did not speak to
No,
the
I
discussion topics.
They should not do that. And against from government to government, will let you be there. I have more data in this than here. And in this scientists are also said we have more data. If you ask them, they say 30 lakh with horticulture, 30 lakh agriculture, 30 lakh with handicraft, with market tourism. It comes to 6 crores. And it would have population of 1/3. So my point is, similarly, so physical development is needed. They are already skill. It should be on, it should be polished, so that it comes in tone with the modern model. Similarly, 20 tourism development authorities provide and still after 22 years, or 3 or 4 are rest are in company. They are not developed. What my point is that I have been a part of skill development as the governing council, Indian Portal. I have gone from district from there were 2 months of training, 2,000 rupees, 2,000 crore rupees, but it has no. दो महीने की ट्रेनिंग में आप सीख सकते हो ना 2,000 रुपये से आप कुछ कर सकते हो when I introduced यूपी में सर 2,000 रुपये लेने के लिए हमें 3,000 रुपये खर्च करना पड़ा जो सेंटर में हमें आना है ट्रांसपोर्ट अब सर्टिफिकेट से आपको जॉब गवर्नमेंट इट इज व्हाट दे आर because of policies are very so what my question is that our industry leaders should have one day here tomorrow. They should understand what our JK Cement was like. JK Cement has accurate cement factory here. I want to just inform him, they must have done that integral. What the problem we face? The highest unemployment average in the country and highest unemployment. Yeah. In our industry is on ventilation. Everyone knows it's on and it's not doing well. That's why we don't get more industry. That's because of even if this development program has been power, there has got to be use of business. There has got to be single window system. Otherwise, nothing is going to work out. I want to speak in the presence of Chief Secretary, but I told him he on the left. We keep on so speaking. So these factors are to be taken into account and my question was if this apprenticeship certificate would be taken to the body. जो अपनी बात पर अभी का मास्टर क्लास if they train 2, 3, 4, 5 people, my question is if this level will be taken due to them also, not if also they are bought after industry after activity.
Please speak to the discussion topics and any cross argument can be done on stage. So I would like to highlight.
So basically, I was going to observe my EU Our country has a very rich parampara of Guru Shishya. Just Kashmir mein jisko hum bolte hain Vastra Sar. So basically, apprenticeship is a structured form to it. Apprenticeship protects the rights of Guru and Shishya. Apprenticeship protects the right of Vastra and Sar through an act of the Parliament of the Government of India.
So, जो आप बोल रहे थे सर, I was going to add to it rather than interrupt, कि यही हमें करना है. We want to take it to the cottage industry where we protect the interests of the apprentice. वस्त्र और तार में या गुरु और शिष्य में the interests were not always protected. There is a chance of exploitation. Apprenticeship Act and the apprenticeship rules and the NAP scheme protects the interests of the apprentices, ensures that stipend is paid. Apprenticeship internship unpaid होती है. We all know unpaid internships are there. There is nothing like unpaid apprenticeship. The government of India mandates it that an apprentice is paid stipend. So that's how. Sir, आप हमें support कीजिए. We as MSD and NSDC would like to take the scheme to the grassroots enterprises, cottage industries, or जहाँ पे भी आप चाहें, but we would require your industry association support also in that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for adding on to that point, and we definitely agree that while industrial development is required, we need to also ensure that the traditional industries are also getting the touch of the new age arrangements that or any kind of structured employment programs needs to be done in either tourism, for the industry, and all of that. So, in all of this, I would really like to thank all the people who have joined and really discussed on the points on what needs to be done, what are the gaps in this skilling, what are the gaps in apprentice and employment pipeline, and we will collectively work on this. We'll discuss and we'll definitely keep note of all the points that you have contributed. And thank you so much for joining. And it was really lovely talking to you all. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.